These are the untold secrets about vitamin D that nobody's told you about, but are critical to your overall health. Hey Wellness Warrior, I'm Dr. Zyrowski, and I cannot stress enough, you need to know what your vitamin D levels are or your health could be in a very bad place. It's estimated that 42% of you are deficient in vitamin D. So in this video, we're going to talk about why it's so critical, and we're even going to talk about vitamin D versus flu shot, which one has been shown to work better according to the research. Now, like I said, 42% of you are deficient in vitamin D, and it's so critical because the old science tells us, well, if you have a vitamin D deficiency, then yeah, you're probably going to have some weak bones. It might show up in the way of you being more likely to get cavities in your teeth. It might show up in the way of bone degeneration or arthritis. It may show up in a lot of different ways. However, new science shows us that, well, vitamin D isn't just about your bones. Vitamin D is about your immune system health. Are you able to actually fight off viruses and pathogens and bacteria? Are you able to lower inflammation naturally in your body? What's your vitamin D levels at? Because it's very important for inflammation. It's important for your brain health. If you have sufficient levels of vitamin D, you're less likely to have anxiety, bipolar disorder, and even depression. It's important for your ability to fight off an autoimmune condition from developing in your body or reverse one that already exists. It's important for fighting off diabetes, cancer, and even avoiding and fighting off infections. So this is why vitamin D is so critical. But how do we test for it? Because it just blows my mind that so many people are deficient in vitamin D, and it's so easy to take, it's so cheap to take, and make sure that you're at sufficient levels. At my clinic, one of the things we do is every time we run a blood test, we always look for vitamin D, and most traditional doctors even do this as well. Now, one of the things that you can do if you aren't getting your blood test taken anytime soon, you can actually spot test for that. And what this means is that instead of going and getting your blood drawn and getting a test in that fashion, you can actually do a little prick at the end of your finger, just like you would do like a blood glucose test or a ketone test. And then you can actually test your vitamin D levels this way. I'll put a link in the description on how to actually do this. It's very easy to do right at home. You send the information off to the lab and bam, you know your vitamin D levels. It's the cheapest and most efficient way to do it if you want to know what your vitamin D levels are now. And if you don't know, I'd highly recommend this. How much do you need to take? Well, you know what? If you're deficient, let's say that you're below 30 nanograms per milliliter, then you're going to want to be taking somewhere maybe around the 10,000 IU mark. But if you're higher than that, and you're in the more sufficient stage, typically somebody who is at a good, healthy level of vitamin D, what you're going to want to do is take somewhere around 5,000 IUs. It's a very good general rule. Now, the next thing is, what kind should you take? Because this is a big question. We see in the store, there's a bottle of vitamin D that costs $8, and then there's, maybe a bottle of vitamin D that costs $70. What's the difference? Well, the fact is that vitamin D comes from very many different sources, many very low quality sources, and of course very high quality sources as well. Here's the important thing you have to know without getting into all the craziness of that. The big thing that you want to do is make sure you're taking vitamin D3, which is the active form. It's more absorbable. The other thing that you want to do is be taking that D3 with K2. This is very important. What the K2 does is it helps keep the calcium formation that the vitamin D3 will start to produce in your body out of your arteries. You don't want calcium formation in your arteries, you want it in your bones. And so that D3 with K2 is very important. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description to a high quality one that is priced reasonably, and it's the stuff that I use in my clinic, it's the stuff I use for my kids, it's the stuff I use personally every day. Vitamin D3 with K2 is the way to go, 5,000 IUs if you're not sure where your levels are right now. Now, if you're vitamin D3, you're taking it and you're testing, you're going, man, I keep taking vitamin D3 and it refuses to raise my levels. Well, the first thing is that we have to make sure you're taking a quality form, and that's why I stress that. I've seen so many people take D3 regularly and it won't budge, and then they take a quality form and boom, it shoots right up. But here's another thing that you have to really be paying attention to. A magnesium deficiency, which is also very likely in the stressful world that we all live in, will hinder the absorption of vitamin D. And so what you want to do if you can't get your vitamin D3 levels to raise up like they should, take some magnesium as well and bring up your magnesium levels, and it's far more likely that you'll be able to sufficiently raise the vitamin D3 levels. Back to how much is sufficient. Standard practice in traditional healthcare today would tell you anything above 30 nanograms per milliliter is going to be sufficient in your blood. However, what we would look at from a really good healthy standpoint, because we don't want to just base it off of basic survival, we want to base it off what is going to put you at a good healthy place to avoid this stuff and also fight off infections and that sort of thing. What we want to see is between 60 and 100 nanograms per milliliter. So basically what that means is when you get your vitamin D test results back, it's going to have a scale. It's going to be from 0 to 100. You want to be between 60 and 100. If you're below 60, just remember it increases your likelihood of having these issues right here. So this is where things get very interesting. Vitamin D versus the flu shot. And there's two different studies we're going to look at. One is from Queen Mary University of London and the other is from the Cochrane Review Group. Now, here's what they were looking at. Queen Mary University of London looked at, well, when it comes to vitamin D, how many people have to take vitamin D to avoid the sniffles, the flu, pneumonia, all of those things, right? And they found that it took 33 people taking vitamin D in order to avoid one case of the flu. And then the Cochrane group, they used the flu shot. And they said, how many people have to take the flu shot to avoid one case of the flu? And they found that that number was 40. So what these two different studies show us is that the vitamin D actually outperformed the flu shot. However, you will never hear that. So it's very important to make sure that you have adequate amounts of vitamin D in order to make sure you avoid this stuff, but also keep yourself healthy. These simple facts will change your life. If you're putting in all the effort through exercise and eating healthy, make sure you're checking your vitamin D levels. If you're sick and you're unhealthy and you don't know why, make sure you're checking your vitamin D levels. It doesn't matter either way. This is a critical factor that will change your health in a positive direction. Get tested. Make sure you're taking your vitamin D. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and if you enjoyed this video, watch this one next.